Hello everyone, Philip Buchanan from Nick the Dream here. I'll be very honest, I genuinely didn't think I'd make a video on this topic, especially after the posts I made. And especially since I'm not particularly the biggest fan when it comes to making commentary videos, and I'm not particularly into making them. I'm also into watching them rather than actually, making any. I mean, maybe if it's a review, sure, I might actually make a few responses. I might actually make a video like this, but not me discussing actual drama. So, I'm pretty much using my posts that I put up on GameJolt and maybe Reddit if I posted them, just as, for fun, as my script. I don't know if I'll be actually reading them word by word for this video, or if I'll just use them as reference. Probably the latter, to be honest. But anyway, let's actually talk about the Jonochrome situation. And basically, Jonochrome is the creator of One Night at Flumpty's. He's also the creator of Riddle School and Riddle Transfer and Canned Food. He's an animator who been doing animation for a really long time, ever since the early days of Newgrounds. I think the earliest time was 2005, 2004, I'm not sure. Sometime around the mid-2000s. As far as I'm aware, anyway. He probably did it even sooner. But regardless, he was part of Newgrounds back in those early days. And an anonymous Twitter user by the name of Fulcrum, or at Anonymacalgears, made a tweet that showed a link to the tweet longer about Jonochrome being a supposed pedophile. And the tweet longer that they made, I don't know their gender, that they made, pretty much detailed about how Jonathan was indeed dating a minor. He was 21, he was dating a girl named Emily who was 14. And that's it. That's all the tweets showed. That's all the screenshots showed. And while they were real, it was confirmed by Jonochrome himself. I can't really call this pedophilia because, according to Wikipedia, Google, and a lot of sources I've read, that's not pedophilia. I mean, it's irresponsible what he did, yeah, that I won't deny. And yes, I won't lie that dating someone who is very below your age, who isn't over the age of 18 or 21 yet, is indeed irresponsible, and it's something that you probably shouldn't be doing at all. And it's honestly better it's honestly better that you date someone who's around your age anyway. So, yeah. But that doesn't mean I think he's a pedophile or a groomer or a child predator even. I watched a video made by Speech. Well, not really watched, I just saw a thumbnail and the title of this video. And he labeled Jonochrome as someone who groomed Emily for 5 to 6 years, and that he's a child predator. And I'm like, no, he's none of that. Pedophilia is when you have if you have a sexual relationship with someone. Grooming is when you manipulate someone or befriend someone or gain their trust, only to then, take advantage of them sexually or abuse them sexually. And child predator is literally in the name. You are out there trying to look for children to prey on or do God knows what. Now I should also stress that, again, I don't think what Jonathan did was good. I don't think he's free from any criticism or backlash from this. But I don't think he deserves to have his entire career removed online. I don't think he should be just labeled as a pedophile, nothing more. And what I also can't help but feel was that this entire situation was kind of pointless because, you see, Jonathan and Emily, they're both adults now. Yeah, sure, they started in the relationship when Jonathan was a young adult and Emily just entered her teenage years, which is bad, I know, but now they're pretty much adults. So, I mean, it's not right, I know, for someone to still be dating someone who's extremely younger than them, and one's a minor and the other one isn't, but still, they were pretty much old enough to pretty much decide on how their relationship goes at this point. And that's just my subjective view, though. And people have been pretty much, and I heard that based on the comments from what I've heard anyway, that Emily had been bombarded with comments about how people should, about how, you know, she should be feeling bad, that she should have been traumatized when she wasn't, and that people should be, you know, doing something against Jonathan when she thought it wasn't necessary, and some are even blaming her for this entire situation. I'm just like, no, why do you want her to feel that way? Why are you blaming her for this? Even she herself said that she's not a victim here. She didn't suffer any physical harm. She wasn't manipulated by Jonathan. There was nothing sexual between the two. Nothing. There was no dick pic sense. There was no sexting. There was nothing bad going on. She didn't manipulate her. Oh, no, sorry. John didn't manipulate Emmy for nudes or anything like that. So there wasn't any physical harm in this relationship, or at least none that we know of. The two closest things I even come to that were one time where they talked about sex, but I don't know what context they were actually talking it. I don't know what the context of that conversation was. Like, they could be talking in an education matter, or like in an entirely joke matter. I mean, if it's the latter, then yeah, that does kind of add to my it does add to my critique of him being irresponsible, but still not pedophilia. And it's possible, and you know, I'm just saying it's possible that maybe Emily was lying or being manipulated to do this, or that he has Stockholm syndrome, or that she has Stockholm syndrome. But again, we don't know that. There's no evidence of such, and I rather we don't jump to conclusions. And again, I should make this clear, nothing sexual happened between Jonathan and Emmy, so I really cannot label this as pedophilia. There was no abuse against them. And Jonathan didn't even outright try to look for Emmy to try and do God knows what with her. They both met naturally, as far as I'm aware. Well, online anyway. Oh yeah, I should also mention the only other kind of abuse I can think of that was in this relationship was when, you know, John stated that she wanted Emmy to just be free and do whatever she wants, but Emmy subconsciously decided not to, and decided to just keep, and John indirectly caused her to, you know, get her romantic options be, what's the word I'm looking for? Stagnant? Be stopped or something? I'm not sure. I don't know the words. I'm sorry. But basically, yeah, it apparently sees her relationship to go extremely well, and John did apologize for that, and he didn't even downplay the situation either regarding the entire fiasco. And Emily even said multiple times that this is not Jonathan's fault, that he's not a pedophile. He doesn't want anything bad happening to John. So there's that. And next thing is that I should also state that I don't think this drama really helped anyone, for that matter. Like, besides making Jonochrome get his therapy sooner than he did, this really didn't help anyone. Like, besides Jonathan getting his therapy sooner, which was an inevitability anyway, because he already mentioned that he was getting therapy options when Scott announced his retirement back in June or July, was it? I think it was June. And yeah, that's it. Him getting therapy was pretty much already an inevitability. That, and literally everything else, the cons of this situation, the bad, literally outweighs all of the pros here. Like, John is now being labeled things that he isn't. Emily is now being bombarded with these comments and being reminded of her past when she doesn't want to be reminded of it. And I can understand that. And now the entire community is even more torn than ever. We just had an entire Scott Cawthon fiasco back in June, and now we have this. Like, I'm sorry, folks. Forgive me for saying this, but like, this fiasco is worth this. This entire clusterfuck did nothing to really benefit people. Again, there's the fact that Jonathan is now getting mental help now. But again, I kind of felt like that was inevitable, considering he mentioned it as early as June, or whenever Scott announced his retirement. I just don't think this really helped anyone whatsoever. And people are trying to speak for Emmy, even though she doesn't need to be. Yeah, overall, this was just not a very good year for Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, sure, we got One Night Flumpties, but like, overall, in my opinion, the negatives. Okay, maybe they don't outweigh the positives, but they are practically neck and neck with each other. That, and the more I look at all of this, the more I think that, let's talk about Fulcrum, alright? The person who exposed Jonathan. I can't help but feel like they did this out of pure spite and not really to actually help Emmy or anyone who's in the community. Now, I'm not saying that. Now, I should probably stress, I don't think that this is 100% true. I'll just give you my reasons as to why I feel that way, and you can make the judgment yourself. Fulcrum stated that the reason why he wanted to the reason why they wanted to expose Jonathan was because he planned to stay in the community, which, if you know anything about Jonathan at all, you would have known that's not the case, that he's been wanting to move on ever since he cancelled 1 week at Flumpties in 2016. Oh wait, no, sorry, 2015. That was 6 years ago, as of me recording this, as of this time. And he already stated that he's gonna be leaving the community after One Night Flumpties 3 came out. In fact, he even said that at the end of his developer commentary. Yeah. So that reason doesn't really go well. Did you, maybe they meant that, they were angry because of how One Night Flumpties 3 became popular? Well, I mean, what were you expecting then? One Night Flumpties was considered one of the greatest, highest quality FNAF fan games out there, even for a fan game released in 2015, and that's rare to say. Like, how many fan games in 2015 you think have aged well today? Name more than 10. Name 10 at all if possible. Yeah, that's right, I thought so. And for a game like that to get a sequel 6 years later, a third game no less, and it's also part of the initiative, the Fanverse initiative. Of course it would be popular and all over the FNAF. It would be the main talk of the entire FNAF community for that time. But at the same time, they could also mean that maybe that, they thought that now would be a good time to strike, and maybe that way the post would, and maybe that way Fulcrum's exposure could have, gained a lot of attention. That way Jonathan would have really gotten exposed. But at the same time, why didn't you just mention that, and not because, he planned to stay in the community? That just comes off as wrong. That, and another thing that adds to me thinking that you did this, that they did this out of spite, was because of how they described Jonathan. There was multiple phrases like again, they didn't say anything about Jonochrome being an actual pedophile, but they did heavily imply it. Fulcrum said, "Don't get mad at Scott for this because he had no way of knowing who Jonochrome really is." Or another sentence like, what was it again? Oh yeah, that this guy shouldn't be praised at all, and that he should be ousted from any community he has a high stance in. Yeah, that leads me to believe that they genuinely believe that he was a pedophile when he was not. Now, again, this isn't 100% proved. I think they did this out of pure spite, not really to help Emmy or Jonochrome, not just to help Emmy or anyone in the community, but it is just what I feel. Don't jump into conclusions, though. That's not particularly the best idea. And that's all I pretty much have to say. If you are someone who learned about this and feel like they shouldn't support Jonochrome anymore, or just shouldn't play their games, or what have you, or just don't feel comfortable doing so, then honestly, that's fine. That's really okay. And if you find someone if you find someone who's saying that that John is a pedophile, or you find someone that just disagrees with you in this topic, feel free to educate them about it, but don't don't go into an insult match with them, because that's not good. Harassment is never the way to solve things. And if you're a minor, especially if you're female, please be careful on the internet. There are people who will be after you and who will do bad things to you. And just overall, please be careful with who you see online. Be careful with who you meet. Be careful with who you talk to. Just be careful overall. Alright? And another thing is, if you're someone adult or minor who are in a relationship with someone who's significantly older than you, and is someone who's possibly even overage or underage, stop the relationship now. Even if you're not doing anything bad to each other, I still think you shouldn't be in a relationship just yet. Maybe wait to be older, wait for the other person to be older before you can then date. And I don't think you're a pedophile if you do that, unless you had sexual intentions or you like them because they're minor. But still, you shouldn't be in a relationship like that. It's best you wait till you become older, or they become older, because it's going to create problems for you and or them, especially if the entire thing goes public and it gains a lot of traction. And if you want my recommendation with dating people with their ages, I recommend you date someone who's 2 years older or younger than you. Like, for example, if you're 16, like me as of now in 2021, I recommend you date someone who's 14 to 18, because they're 2 years younger or older than you. But once you turn 17, date someone who's 15 to 19, and so on and so forth. That's just my recommendation. And I think it's the best kind of recommendation, if you ask me. I mean, sure, if you feel like you should date someone who's only 1 year younger or older than you, or just whichever floats your boat, as long as they're not older than 14, as long as they're not older than 2 years of your age, or younger than 2 years of your age, then I think that's fine. You should be fine for the most part. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. This video honestly was a lot shorter than I thought it would be. I expected this to be really long, like 30 minutes. I expected to have like a lot of footage here, like really two videos worth of footage. But yeah, that's my entire stance on this entire Jonochrome situation. The reason why I made this video was because Jonochrome was so important to me. Like, before I even joined YouTube with the Nightshade Creations account, he's been inspiring me with art ever since. He's the reason why I thought FNAF fan games did have potential. He's the reason why I wanted to make silly cartoons, even back then. He's the reason why I started to have my creative juices again in 2019 and 2020. I thought his art was great. I thought it was the best art I've ever seen. And for some context, I still think he's top 3. Again, that's my subjective opinion. If you disagree with that, that's fine. And yeah, he was just someone who really helped me a lot indirectly, and who really helped inspire me with a lot of works. Sure, we didn't directly speak to each other, but still, he did inspire me in a lot of ways. Sure, he isn't my main inspiration for a lot of things, but his works and his way of thinking, most of the time anyway, besides the whole dating a minor thing, are things that I can personally relate to. Those are just my stance on this entire situation. Please do not try to cause fights in the comment section, otherwise you'll be your comment will get immediately deleted. And if you attempt to just be over toxic in the comment section over and over again, I will report you. I will do that. But yeah, overall, everyone, just please be safe. Feel free to educate others nicely and not harshly or brutally. And yeah, just please take care, every single one of you. This is Philip Buchanan from Nick the Dream Creations signing off. Take care.